Hey y'all, welcome back. It is me, BrittReacts, and I am back with part 2 of the World War I history lesson over on OverSimplified.
You are now tuned into BrittReacts.
With both sides stuck in a hard stalemate, they knew this war wasn't going to be about taking territory, but about simply wearing each other down. The Allies had plenty of men to expend from its overseas dominions, and the British also started a naval blockade, so Germany couldn't import stuff, like food. Neither side really wanted a long, grueling war. Blockades.
What the? Is my computer having a... Don't do that. Don't crash out.
Of men to expend from its overseas dominions, and the British also started a naval blockade, so Germany couldn't import stuff, like food.
Is this McDonald's in Germany? Why do fries look like those like potato chip fries? Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. They look like little hash browns. This is what McDonald's look like over there? I have questions.
Neither side really wanted a long, grueling war, though, so they both thought of ways to break the deadlock on the Western Front. Idea number 1, new frontiers. When the war first broke out, Australia was quick to take German New Guinea. The Allies also quickly jumped on Germany's colonies in Africa, and particularly in German East Africa, locals were enlisted as soldiers and carriers by both sides, leading to a tragic loss of life for the native Africans. Some new combatants entered the war as well. The Allies' new friends were Italy and Japan. Japan was busy building itself an empire, so it was more than happy to take away German islands and colonies in East Asia. Italy actually had an alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary before the war, but after some tense relations, and then the Allies promising to give them some of Austria-Hungary's stuff, they switched sides. Italy opened up a front in the mountains.
What's the lesson here, children? Class. What's the one takeaway? Ain't nobody loyal. Nobody's loyal. Everyone is self-involved and has their own interests. And they will go wherever that takes them. True then, true now, true later.
Austria-Hungary's stuff, they switched sides. Italy opened up a front in the mountains here, but like everyone else, they were stuck in stalemate for most of the war. The Central Powers' new friend was a struggling empire in the Middle East. The Ottomans... The Ottoman were divided on whether to actually join the war or not.
Ottoman, and then Ottoman. Is that the same thing as like your couch ottoman?
Ottoman?
Why did he have to do that?
The Ottoman were divided on whether to actually join the war or not, since they had been exhausted by the recent... The Ottoman...
Are these the men that sell the bean pies on the street in New Jersey? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Are those Ottoman? Are they called Ottoman? Or who are they?
Were divided on whether to actually join the war or not, since they had been exhausted by the recent Balkan wars. Some of the
It's always a
politicians
war
who did
everywhere.
Went off on their own and fired some shells at Russia, and then came back and said, whoops, looks like we're at war now. The Ottoman entry into the war was of particular concern to the British, since the Middle East was full of oil, and Britain wanted all of that oil. First, the Ottomans tried to attack Russia in the Caucasus Mountains, but they weren't prepared for the cold, and many of them froze to death. Then they crossed miles of desert to take the Suez Canal from the British, but that failed too. Then the Allies tried to take the Dardanelles at Gallipoli in a long and hard trench warfare campaign, but that also failed. The Ottomans blamed their initial losses on the ethnic Armenians living within Ottoman territory, and the resulting Armenian genocide led to the deaths of 1.5 million people. Then the Germans sent spies into Afghanistan to try to convince the Arab tribes there to rise up in jihad against the British and attack India. But that plan failed, partly because the spies got bored, brewed their own alcohol, and got drunk, which...
Where was I in school? That, like, all of this is brand new. Sorry, there's like an eyelash in my eye or my contact or something. Like, feel like this is all so brand new to me. Like, honestly. And I don't even, like, the school system is not that, it's flawed. I think it's gotten worse. I don't think it was as bad when I was in school, but this is a me thing. I'm not even blaming the education system. This is a me thing. Was I there? Was I there at all? Like, how did I graduate high school on time with a B+ average? Like, how? And if I would have applied myself, I probably could have had a 4.0. Like, why is all of this new to me? I don't know anything about this. It's like frustrating me.
But that plan failed, partly because the spies got bored, brewed their own alcohol, and got drunk, which is a bad
we know
thing
this
to do in
story.
Afghanistan. All these new frontiers hadn't done much to change the war. Aware that the Allies had more men and supplies than them, the Germans knew they had to do something to break the stalemate. Before the war, there was a big conference that set out the rules of
Hog
warfare.
concert.
No chemical
Hagu.
weapons,
Huggy
no killing
conference.
civilians.
Did I say concert? Did I say it's the Red Bull? It gave me wings.
That set out the rules of modern warfare. No chemical weapons, no killing civilians. Basically, don't be jerks. The Germans held a meeting and decided to be jerks. Zeppelin air raids commenced over British cities. They also started attacking the Allied trenches with chlorine gas, and they used submarines to sink civilian
Chlorine
ships.
gas?
One such civilian ship was the Lusitania.
Chlorine gas. Listen, we've talked about this before. Nothing, and I mean nothing, gives me a headache quicker than walking into the pool at the YMCA because of all the chlorine. Chlorine I need to put this down. I am not even a quarter through the can, and I need to be done. Chlorine gas being dropped from the sky. Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn in pieces. Like no. No. No.
Which had 159 Americans on board when it was sunk, further swaying U.S. opinion against the Germans. Not to be completely unfair to the Germans, the Allies also engaged in chemical warfare soon after, and they had been hiding anti-submarine weapons on their civilian ships, which let the Germans justify their attacks. Meanwhile, Austria-Hungary still hadn't dealt with Serbia, so the Central Powers enlisted some help. Bulgaria wished it was bigger and was still bitter about losing the Second Balkan War. The Central Powers promised
Everyone's
to make
bitter.
all of Bulgaria's wildest dreams come true if they helped, so they signed on, and together they knocked out Serbia. The Serbian troops retreated through Albania, which was neutral but had some ties to Austria-Hungary. So Austria-Hungary entered Albania in a friendly invasion to chase down the Serbians, many of whom escaped by sea. It's 1916, and a lot is happening. As if they didn't have enough enemies already, Germany added one more to the list. Portugal had been getting a bit chummy with the Allies behind the scenes, and Germany didn't like that one bit. Around the same time, the only sea battle of the war happened. Both sides had a new powerful class of battleships called dreadnoughts, but they were so expensive to build that neither side wanted to risk losing them in a bad class of battleships.
Yeah, I mean, how much does this cost to build? If I had to guess, I'd say upwards of like 10 million, like back then. I don't know. Someone tell me how much.
It's called dreadnoughts, but they were so expensive to build that neither side wanted to risk losing them in a battle. So they kept them in port, except for one time when they had a big fight and a bunch of them got damaged, so they didn't try that again. The UK started conscripting men to the army, so they had plenty of reserves, which is just as well because the Western Front was about to get brutal. The longest and one of the bloodiest battles of the war started when the Germans launched an attack around the French city of Verdun. The French defended it desperately, leading to hundreds of thousands of casualties. Under pressure, the French called on its allies to do something to draw the Germans' attention away. So the British started their own long and brutal fight, the Battle of the Somme, with 60,000 British casualties on just
Look
the
at the
first
trenches.
day.
Oh my! I told y'all this is
the British
terrible.
First used one crazy brand new piece of sci-fi technology.
Tanks.
The Russians had been getting pushed back further and further into their own territory, but in response to the French call for help, they began a huge offensive, and did really well until they ran out of supplies and got stuck. Seeing how well the Russians had been doing, Romania decided now would be a great time to jump in and win the war, and then they got pounded. The Greeks were fighting amongst themselves about whether to join the war or not. The king liked the Central Powers, while the Prime Minister wanted to join the Allies. After a brief national schism, during which the
Honestly, this is what it feels like 97.3% of the time when our government is shutting down in Congress, on the Congress floor. Like they're just, that's what it feels like.
Join the Allies. After a brief national schism, during which the country split into two, the king finally abdicated and the country reunited. With Allied help, they began a new offensive. In the Middle East, Russia was pushing into Ottoman territory from the north. The British had also made a landing in Mesopotamia to protect Persia's oil fields, and they had also sent a small army up the Tigris River to try to take Baghdad. But the army got sieged in the town of Kut along the way, and eventually surrendered. A new offensive was launched from the south with all-out desert warfare. The offensive was aided by one famous British officer, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, who helped lead the Arab tribes in a offensive was aided by one...
Make this make sense. How was he a British officer? But he was known as
famous
something
British
of Arabia.
Officer, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, who helped lead the Arab tribes in a revolt that wreaked havoc on the Ottoman supply lines. By the time 1917 rolled
ally,
around,
right?
everyone was exhausted. There were
Okay.
mutinies in the French army, the German populace was starving, and the war had drained all of Russia's supplies. There was no clear winner, and it was still anyone's war. The only question now was, who was going to break first? And the answer was Russia. Tired of not eating and mad that a crazy magic homeless guy was calling some of the shots, there was an uprising and tired of not
We've learned about that crazy magic homeless guy, haven't we? I love that some of our old lessons are overlapping into our new lessons, which are really the old lessons that I just happened to skip over. I'm sorry. He was in the Napoleonic story. Am I right? This hoodie is like choking me. Still my favorite hoodie though.
eating and mad that a crazy magic homeless guy was calling some of the shots, there was an uprising in Petrograd complete with riots and strikes. The riots turned into a full-scale revolution
Petrograd?
and a new government overthrew the Tsar. Then a few months later, the Bolsheviks overthrew the new government, and they pulled Russia out of the war. This was great news for Germany, who now only had to focus on the Western Front. But there was still one problem. The pesky United States of America was looking increasingly like it was going to join the war. America had been selling supplies to the Allies throughout the war and was getting super rich off the back of it, meaning it was in fantastic shape and was dangerous was looking increasingly like front. But there was still one problem. The pesky United States of America was looking increasingly like it was going to join the war. America had been selling supplies to the Allies throughout the war and was getting super rich off the back of it, meaning it was in fantastic shape and was dangerous to the Germans.
Ready to fight.
So Germany sent a telegram to Mexico saying, wouldn't it be crazy cool if you guys attacked America? But the British intercepted the message, showed it to the Americans, and that was the final straw.
Oh, not the British being a snitch. A snitch.
America?
Hey, y'all come look at this.
Intercepted the message, showed it to the Americans, and that was the final straw.
That's so petty.
American troops began shipping out to Europe. This was terrible news for Germany, and they knew their only hope now was to force France and the UK to surrender before the fresh American troops arrived. It was now or never, so they started one final attack. They converged their troops and hit hard at the Somme and pushed the Allies back. They hit a second time further north, then again and again. With each hit, the Germans were spending more and more resources, while the Allies were getting better and better at repelling their attacks.
Not resources.
By the fifth punch, the Allies held the line and even pushed back. With American troops now arriving in larger numbers, the Allies launched a counterattack, and that was it. The Central Powers were being pushed back on all fronts.
It's over now, move over. It's my turn now, it's over. The game's locked down. Sorry. Name that song. We've got like 3 songs. If you know all 3, we're besties. We're besties.
The Allies launched a counterattack, and that was it. The Central Powers were being pushed back on all fronts. Bulgaria collapsed first, followed by the Ottoman Empire, then Austria-Hungary, and finally on November 11th, 1918, at 11 o'clock, Germany surrendered. At the peace treaty,
Dang, they got the
Germany was
exact
forced
time.
to reduce its military, except
They
war
waited
guilt
till
and
11
paid
on the
bill for
dot?
war. After indescribable suffering and millions dead, the world learnt its lesson and never had such an awful war again. For about 20 years.
Lord have mercy. Well, there you have it. We've done World War II. I feel like we've done all the major series now on the channel. If we haven't, let me know in the comments. A lot of you were telling me yesterday in part 1 that there was another channel that had a more in-depth breakdown of this war, and I'm happy to check it out. I just wanted to let you know I saw your comments. Again, this is like at the beginning of the Oversimplified channel, like 7 something years ago, and so I think the quality and the quantity and the length of his videos all have evolved so much, but even these shorter ones are still so educational and informative, and I appreciate them. So let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know how much that big old boat cost, and let me know if you knew any of those songs that I was singing. Go and have the day you deserve.